Hey, everybody, this is David Novak, and welcome to It's All About Relationship, episode number 125. Hey, welcome aboard. If this is your first time joining us, thanks for coming on in and checking us out. And if you're a returning listener, thank you for your loyalty. As I mentioned, this is episode number 125. We've been doing this for about 5 or 6 years, I think it is. And we've had a lot of guests on. We have a great guest today, and it's going to be awesome. But let me just give you a couple quick things about following us if you want to do that on socials and where you can check out the show. And also, when we get done with this show, if this episode has been a blessing to you, please share the link. That's how we get word of mouth and we minister to people that way. And if it touches your heart, it's going to touch somebody else's too. So I think that's really important. If you can share the link, that would be great. Anyway, we're on Apple iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Google, YouTube. We're all over the place. We've had listeners in, I think, 60 some odd countries worldwide, and we're in 45-ish states across the U.S. And, it's been phenomenal. So thank you so much for your support. And most of all, thank you, Jesus, for blessing this show. We've had a lot of special guests, and today we have a very special guest in the name of Tammy Kelley. Tammy's with Freedom's Fire Ministry, reaching nations and restoring hope and igniting faith. That's what they do, people. Freedom's Fire Ministry is a Christ-centered nonprofit organization committed to advancing the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's why we're here doing this show today. They do it through evangelism, humanitarian outreach, leadership development, and community transformation. And Tammy, along with her husband, Neil, he's a healthcare CEO, former trauma nurse, and he brings medical leadership and compassionate service to their mission efforts. And they partner, they do a lot of work in Kenya. That's primarily where they do their overseas outreach. And they partner with Pastor Eliakim and Sylvia Otenyo, who kind of serve as the pastors to get the team together to go to Kenya. So we're going to bring Tammy in right now. Let's bring her on in. And there you are. Hi.
Hey, how are you, David?
Hey, I'm great. I'm great. Tell me a little bit about the ministry. I already kind of told the audience kind of what you guys do, but I gave them real tiny little thumbnail there.
Okay. So, let me kind of give you a little bit of a background of how God's been moving in my life and what has really set the stage for what we're doing now in Kenya. So this all began the little 13-year-old girl in Luling, Texas,
Wow.
very small rural community. And I was part of our student body, and it was our responsibility to find a community service, something to give back to others. And one day I was sitting at home, and a commercial came on TV that said, "Feed the children for 25 cents a day." And so that's when the Lord really began to impart my love for the Kenyan people. Um,
And
However, it
you were
didn't.
13 at the time?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
I
Okay.
I was in junior high, middle
Right.
school,
Okay.
and, so kind of even going back a little bit further with my, history is I was not born and raised in a home that was a Christian home, um, and my father was, he was a very stern, um, abusive man,
Mm.
and he definitely had opinions about, things very strongly. And so when I had sent off for this information and it came in the mail, of course he's looking like, why is Tammy getting mail? So he opens it up and sees it and then gets really angry and upset. And so, I don't say this to create any kind of emotional response, but other than knowing that when God began to plant those seeds of love for these people, it didn't start off with just this, happily ever after, or Cinderella story, shall I say, until about 20 years later, when I was in my mid-20s is when I had given my life to the Lord and began my walk with Christ. And, in 2009, I was sitting in church, and some missionaries, from Uganda had come in and was sharing about putting together a mission team to go over to do a church plant, in Kenya, and said, "Hey, if you wanna get more information,
Wow.
come see us after church service and we'll share more with you." So I raised my hand, went to the meeting, and there it began.
Wow.
So it was just, I always share with the Kenyans when I'm there. This is part of my testimony is that message of hope, the message of that God is always working in our lives to fulfill the good work that He began. So what He planted in me when I was 13, it took, many years later for me to see a fulfillment of what God was going to do. And so, initially the love began to get stirred with me thinking that I was going to be able to feed these children, by sending 25 cents a day or collecting some money from our class and sending it over. But now when I get to go to Kenya and share my testimony, part of my testimony and sharing with them is that just by me standing on the ground in Kenya is a testament of God's faithfulness to when we have hopes and dreams,
Right.
that it may take some time for them to come into fruition, but God works things out for the greater good. And
Mhm.
so even though, um, my earthly father didn't see, um, the need. My heavenly father definitely saw the need, and he planted me there not only to help feed, but to feed them spiritually.
Right.
So we just love what we get to do when we're there, and I could share more about the details of all of that, but that was just kind of the start of how it all began. Was a 13-year-old girl that
Wow.
just wanted to feed the children, and
Mm.
now we've been going over to Kenya since 2010.
Wow. Okay, so that's what, 16 years. So wow, okay.
Yeah.
So do you take a team with you? I know Pastor Elia, Kim, and Sylvia, they go with you, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so they're actually the pastors. They live in Kenya.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yes. So a few years was the beginning of being part of a church plant team, and then
Mhm.
after a few years, we had decided to add a medical piece to it. And so around that 2013, 2014 mark was when my husband came on board with what we were doing. And so we added this medical piece.
Mhm.
So what we knew we were going to do, because it was going to be something completely different than what we were already doing, we wanted to separate from the existing team and create something new. So we had connected with Pastor Eliakim and his wife Sylvia, because we just recognized that they were, you know, godly people. They had good character, strong integrity. And so what we wanted was, to have a partnership with somebody that was local, that could take care of all the in-country needs, like booking our hotels, our ground transportation, getting all the permits that we need. Because again, when you're local, you know how local things work.
Sure.
And that a way they are able to, take care of all of that for us. So we make sure we're getting, good rates on everything. We're getting the best security. We're getting the best food preparation for our team. So when my husband came on board, the medical piece that we added was on top of ministering and going into local schools, local prisons. We do evening crusades every evening where
Oh,
we
you
get
do?
where we get the opportunity to just do some worship. Um, and that also gives our team members the opportunity to share their testimony of what God is doing in their lives,
Wow.
and also share that gospel message. And so then this medical piece that we added, even though my husband does have a medical background,
Mhm.
um, We don't have to have medical team members to go with us. However, if we do, they can get hands on experience. But anyone, as long as they love Jesus and love, uh, God's children, they're qualified to go with us.
That's awesome.
We hire the local doctors, we hire local nurses because it's our heart desire is that we want to partner with that local church so that they are the ones that are serving and ministering to their community, and
Right.
we're just coming in as partnership with it. So it's not like these Americans are just coming over there doing everything, and then when they leave, now what do we
Yeah,
do?
exactly. Just leaving
Yeah.
them in a lurch.
Me of the impact that, we're able to do. Um, the medical piece, even though it's been added in, it's a very huge part, because most of these villages that we minister in have very limited access to any kind of medical, um, provisions, and even if there is a medical clinic nearby that they could go to, they're also very limited with, supplies, because the government is they'll determine what will what can be put out in certain areas and stuff, so a lot of the times, just some of the basic medicines aren't even available to them that are life-saving medicines, and yet these are medicines that we're able to get and bring into, these medical camps, and I mean, the testimony after testimony of the lives that have been saved, when we're there. So it's just very heart touching.
Yeah, I bet. Do you have any problems getting things through customs that way and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So again, we don't bring any of the medicines over from the US.
Okay.
We buy everything local. So
So, yeah.
what we have to go to some of the larger cities on our trek out there to purchase the medicines before we go out into these rural villages.
What surprised you the most about the cultural differences between the 2? I know it's like night and day, you know? Is there anything particular that just leaped out at you?
We talk about this all the time because even though there are some differences within, our nations, when you really get down to the core of everything, we're really still the same people. We still have the same problems. We still have um, the same fears
Mm.
and those sort of things. In fact, when we share a lot of our testimonies and stuff, they will always respond with, "Wow, you people have these same problems."
Really?
They're just different.
No.
Um, but, just things that, I guess one of the first experiences that I had that, um, kinda was an eye opener to me, um, one of the things that they tell us is when we're going around and if we're taking photos of things to ask the person for permission to take a photo of them or
Right.
whatever it is we're trying to take a picture of. And so this was on one of my first trips out there, and we're walking from, just down the paths going hut to hut, and we're coming back into kind of more of a market area where people would be set up with their like vegetable stands and things like that, things that they're selling. And we walked past this one lady, and she has some produce that she's selling, and I noticed, these things, they were just huge, and I was like, "What is that?" And when my translator told me it was an avocado, I was like, this thing was the size of, like, a grapefruit.
Oh, really?
It was just huge,
Yeah.
and, so I had asked if I could take a photo of it, and, so then the lady gave me permission to take a photo, and, then after we took the photo, we started to walk away, and then my translator and her were going back and forth in Swahili, and he was kinda laughing and shaking his head, and so I was like, "What's going on? What is she saying?" He goes, "Well, now she's saying that since you took a photo, maybe you will buy something."
Oh.
So,
So the
uh,
yeah,
of course, here goes my mind starting to think, "Okay, well, of course, yeah, I would love to buy something."
sure.
But we had not, I mean, this was like maybe day 2 of our trip, and we had not exchanged our American money. to shillings yet. And so the smallest bill that I had was a $20 bill. But in my calculation, I'm sitting there looking at this basket of huge avocados
Uh-huh.
and thinking, what would I pay for those back here in America?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I could give her a 20. Would that be enough? Uh, and he was just like, "Oh, no, 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 that's way too much."
Yeah, I would think so.
And so I said, "Well, what would something like that?" Well, because he said that was way too much, that this would be like a month's salary for her.
Oh, wow. Real
And I said, "Well, what would something like that cost?" And he said like 40 cents.
really? Eh,
So that was like a huge eye opener in regards to having to put in perspective
yeah.
that when we think that something isn't that much, it's huge to them.
Wow.
And that translates even over to our, especially into the medical side, because, um, you know what it costs to go to a doctor here and to get x-rays and exams and that sort of stuff. Well, we had a situation, and I think one of the photos that I even shared with you is my husband and I with an older lady. She's got, her arms in 2 casts, and sharing that testimony of her and her story was I met her when we were going hut to hut, and this particular year, my translator was actually somebody who was in medical school. And, so when we approached this lady, she's got her arms wrapped up with some sort of, just cloth. It
Mhm.
looked like shredded up T-shirt or something like that, but she's got her arms both wrapped up with this cloth, and she's just, like, struggling, trying to sweep this area, and, my translator began to, like, talk to her and ask her, what's going on. Well, the long story short is she had fallen a couple of weeks ago, and she was in great pain.
Mm.
So he was telling her, "Did you get your arms x-rayed?" And she was just like, "Well, I don't have any money. I can't go." So he was explaining to her the importance of getting an x-ray to see if these arms were broken, because
Oh my
if
god.
they were and they healed improperly, it
Yeah,
could cause more problems.
sure.
So when she so I had told her, I said, "Well, look, if you will come to the medical camp that we're gonna have at the end of this week, so, like, on Friday, come to the medical camp, find me,
Mhm.
and even though we can't do your x-rays right there, we will find a way to get you to wherever you need to be to get your arms x-rayed."
Wow.
Well, one of the things is that sometimes, we've raised the money that we need to do our mission, and if we're able to, have a little extra over budget, then these are funds that we can use for a situation just like this, where we have somebody that needs to have x-rays
Mhm.
and we have to, get them transported in somewhere that can, do those x-rays. Well, we got her on a motorcycle. The motorcycle got her to the clinic where they could do some x-rays. She got the x-rays. Both arms were broken.
Oh, jeez.
She got her arms fixed, got them cast,
Yeah.
got some medicine, got back to us to tell us and show us the report,
Wow.
all for $12.
$12? Oh my
So the
god.
thing is
And here
that
it would have been $2,000 or
right.
whatever, or
So the
more.
thing is just that
Yeah.
that simple
Yeah.
love gift
Wow.
that just transformed this lady's life. I mean, she would have
Sure.
no telling how long she would have dealt with pain.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my god.
and so it's situations like that
That's
that
huge.
we see how God can take, he's shown it through scripture where he takes a few loaves and a few fish and can feed 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
And so with our missions, even though we are a small organization,
Yeah.
um, we are our impact is huge. And so 100% of any donations that come in go 100% to the mission field. We do not take a salary, we do not pay anyone,
Oh, really?
we don't use it for our own personal expenses.
Yeah.
So 100% of the donations we put into the mission field. so that we can impact more lives like that.
Mm.
Um, and so even like mosquito nets are something like less than $5. And these are huge for a family. The whole family can sleep under the mosquito net. It's
Wow.
prevention. And it's just a huge impact. And so even being able to provide the mosquito nets
Yeah.
to everyone that comes to these medical camps while we're there are very impactful.
Well, that's huge. Everything you just said is huge and very life-changing too. And now you said you also do, water wells? You
Yeah,
y
so how that's kinda come about is, when we kinda switched out of being part of the church plant team, and then now we just our mission is focused on evangelism
Mhm.
through hut to hut, schools, prisons, crusades, and these medical camps. Um 3 years ago, the Lord put it on our heart for one of the pastors that's kind of been with our team, for many of these years. We found out that he, didn't have his own church. He had been renting a metal shack, and but that he was growing more than the little building could hold. And so it was his desire to be able to have his own church, and so we raised the funds to build him a church.
Wow.
And so this is in Capsabet, and this is where we're doing the water well project. So at the time that we went and purchased the property, we identified the village and where we were going to do all of this. Um, One of the even greater needs that we saw was clean drinking water. And so we were able to raise the funds 3 years ago to build that church, but we hadn't been able to raise the funds to drill the water well on the property. And so that is our project that we're still in prayer for and hoping for funds to come in to be able to build or to drill this well, because it will not just serve the church, it will serve that village. And that's going to be an impact of just a little over 1,000 people to
Wow.
bring clean drinking water
Really?
to.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you also did you mention open air crusades? Did
Yes.
you
So
do that
every
too?
evening,
Okay.
so we're in country 10 days.
Okay.
So it's not a lot of days. It's a short-term mission.
Yep.
And but every evening we do an open air crusade, and that's just a time of worship, testimony, gospel teaching, just letting the move of the Lord move. When we do an altar call, if people come up to receive a prayer to be prayed over for their salvation, for healing, for deliverance, we just open that opportunity for the Spirit of the Lord to move however He needs to.
Have you ever felt endangered?
We get asked that question
Do you?
because I think one of the things that as Americans, sometimes the news kind of paints the picture for us of
Sure.
of other countries.
Yeah.
There's definitely some areas of Africa that are very dangerous. Um, but the area that we minister to,
Mhm.
even though it is a heavily population of Muslims, they're not radicalized. So we never feel like, I mean, there's places here in the United States that I wouldn't go into. There's cities that I wouldn't go into.
Yeah, I hear you.
Um,
I hear you.
so, in regards to danger and safety, that's why our partnership with Pastor Eliakim and Sylvia are such a blessing, because they know the culture, they know the area,
Right.
they know where they're taking us to. All of our translators are from that region, from that area, so they know where to guide us and direct us as we're going about. We put a lot of safety precautions in place for the team, regarding how late we stay out, just even around our food that we eat. So we want to make sure that the priority is around safety and health,
Sure.
because we want team members to get a good experience and to want to go back. And if they're sick and scared, then that's definitely not something that they want to do again. But
Yeah.
we just really feel blessed and honored with this partnership and with the work that we've been doing. Um, and so, yeah, we just really love what we're doing.
Well, I can see why. I mean, what an incredible, ministry you have, and I was before the show today, I was a little bit familiar with what you did, but, you've really laid it out there, and given us some clarity on what
Yeah.
you really do, which is way more than I thought, so
Yeah.
that's
Well, one of the other things
awesome.
too, if we've got a little bit of time to share another, it's part of, again, the medical, part,
Mhm,
but we have, so in one of the years, we had a gentleman come up to my husband and he was wanting his eyeglasses. And these were just reading glasses. They weren't prescription glasses. But Neil didn't have another set with him. And so he was like, I can't give him these because this is my only set.
mhm.
And I said, well, I actually have an extra pair, but they're pink and blingy. And so we're using a translator to kind of like find out, like, does he have a problem reading or is it seeing?
Mhm.
And so we let him put them on and he kept, putting them on and just looking out and we kept saying, "No, they're for like this."
Yeah.
And he would put them on and he would look out and he would just smile. So for whatever reason, he wasn't understanding what these glasses were meant for, but I just went ahead and gave it to him. But then later that evening, we saw him at the crusade and he was leaning up against the stage and he was just looking out at the crowd and he's just smiling so big. And so the Lord spoke to me and he said, "Who are you to say that I can't give him a pair of glasses that he can see through?"
Oh, wow.
So at that moment, I was just like,
Oh, that's
he obviously can see
yeah,
because he's so happy and
yeah.
got this big smile on.
Oh my gosh.
So that made us realize next year we're going to ask people to give us donations of their old reading glasses and old prescription glasses, and we'll bring them.
Wow. Yeah.
So part of our medical camp is that we have a station where we take all these donated glasses, we separate them out, and even though we don't have an eye doctor,
Mhm.
what we do is we take that person who's having eye issues or seeing issues, and we just start putting glasses on them
Until one works, right?
until, yeah, and so we'll know when it works
That's
because
awesome,
they'll put
yeah,
a pair on and
yeah,
they'll go, look like this, and then they'll put another pair on and they'll just be like,
yeah.
and then they'll put that next pair on and they'll be like
Whoa.
smiling.
Wow, that's very cool.
So it's just amazing to see that,
Yeah.
um, miracle that God works out through those eyeglasses.
That's so awesome. That's a great story. That's a
Yeah.
really cool story. Uh, if somebody wants to partner with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's ffm
Mm,
missions.com. And so on our website, there's lots of information about all that we do.
mm,
There's a donation option there. Um, so we have Venmo for our ministry. People can write a check, but all that information's there. We are a nonprofit, so donations can receive a tax donation.
okay.
But hey, we would love prayer partners.
Yes.
We would love team members.
There you go.
And then we would love those that, maybe they have a heart to go, but don't feel like they can physically go
Mhm.
and they want to be the senders. We welcome those gifts as well. So
Okay.
appreciate you asking that.
Absolutely. And we'll put it on the screen too. Actually, it's gonna be on the screen right now. But,
Okay.
um, what was I gonna say? Oh, I forgot. Anyway,
Date.
yeah, yes, I was gonna ask you when you're going again. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
we're working on putting a team together right now for July 18th through the 30th.
Okay.
And so if anybody's interested in, wanting more information, they can go to that website, ffm-missions.com,
Okay.
and take a look at everything. There's a team application on the website. They can call me directly if they want more information.
And your
But we'd love to have any partnership that somebody would love to do.
and your number and email and all that's on the website,
Yes,
right?
all that's on there.
That's awesome. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. Just hang loose there. We'll talk in a minute. But hey, folks, this is a worthwhile ministry, and I just wholeheartedly recommend that you check them out because um, God will bless you. I know He will. Check them out. If you feel led to give to them, partner with them, or pray with or pray for them, or whatever you would do, please do that and share this link with everybody in the world that you can think of. Thanks again. It's all about relationship. Episode number 125. David Novak, along with Tammy Kelley. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.